What's up, all you huntresses and huntsmen out there? I'm Duuz-Diz-Din, and I'm coming at you with Rwby, Volume 8, Season 3, titled Strings. I got no strings, sold me down. As we pick up where last episode left off. Well, to a certain degree, we're not dealing with the Hound in this episode. No, we are dealing with the situation going on with Rwby's team, as they have infiltrated Atlas's military base via the dust tubes, and Penny's able to get a readout on where they need to go, and they also end up using May's ability to cloak themselves so they can make their way through the base, ducking and dodging around Atlas personnel at every turn, using Dr. Polendina's credentials in order to make their way through. With one of their last hurdles being through the command center, unfortunately, which, there's no way May could possibly help them get through all of that. But in a surprising moment, Penny actually reveals the full scope of Rwby's semblance. That is not just that she can teleport herself, it's that she can break herself down almost on the molecular level to just this ghostly figure almost, and transport herself, and she could actually do that with multiple people. So she's going to do that with five of their friends while Meg secures the getaway. With She's going to do that with the rest of her friends and get them all to safety. And I love this because even Blake comments on the fact that, did Penny just kind of figure out your semblance before you did? It's just like, oh, I never would have thought about that, but it kind of makes sense to a certain degree because it really does break down Rwby's mask. She becomes weightless, pretty much ethereal to a certain degree. Meanwhile, we come to find out that Arthur Watts has actually been, well, persuaded to work with General Ironwood on basically trying to hack into Penny remotely, but because of the sophistication of Penny's programming, it's proving to be a bit of a tough hurdle. But then Arthur notices something specific, that Dr. Polendina seems to be making his way through the base, which is something I immediately thought about as soon as they started accessing things with his credentials. Like, I'm pretty sure Dr. Polendina's wanted as well. Why would you use his credentials? You're going to be found out, and sure enough, there it is. So naturally, they send some people after them. So, as they, make their way through, and try to figure out. Well, as they realize that they've been discovered, basically, they've been made, they create a distraction, causing this guy to spill his coffee on one of the computer terminals, and everybody starts yelling at this poor guy named Bill. That Ruby's able to use her semblance to teleport. Well, move everyone through unnoticed, and it is a great moment. I love the little flourish she does at the end, the awe in the eyes of Penny as well as Nora. And just Blake is just like, yeah, thanks, I hate it. Blake really does get the short end of the straw through this little adventure for a while there. But they make their way to the terminal room, and Dr. Polendina accesses the terminal through Penny, which is, yes, super creepy. It's super creepy and weird. But we have a little bit of a heart to heart where Blake kind of, thinks about the fact that Yang has lost kind of a little bit of faith in Ruby's plannings and abilities, but Weiss says, well, that sisters don't have to agree all the time. That doesn't mean they've had a complete and utter falling out. But speaking of which, Nora starts to kind of doubt herself in the fact that Ren is kind of moving away from her. But Blake, speaking from experience, says that maybe that's for the best. Maybe Nora shouldn't be completely relying on Ren to make all the decisions for her. Maybe she should start to kind of think about who she is, which Nora defines as being someone who yells loud and breaks stuff. So I mean, maybe that's a smart start. That tends to be how she's characterized most of this time, but it's a hit or miss kind of situation. But as Penny manages to get all the information she needs to access Amity Tower, they end up getting informed that Penny will have no choice but to stay on Amity in order to make sure everything goes off without a hitch, and a lot of reasons basically. But it boils down to the fact that she has to stay up there in order for everything to work effectively, which Penny feels very shaky about because it would mean that she's not able to get into the fray with everyone. She's not able to be out there and be a protector. But, if she's out there and about, then that means she could be captured at any point. So at least this way, she'd be out of the hands of everyone who would do harm. So Penny has no choice but to agree with this, as everybody else kind of agrees that that's the best call. So she at least listens to her friends. Unfortunately, they end up finding themselves cornered by the ace operatives, who start to kind of play a little dirty. Playing into the whole idea of, hey, if you come with us, you can protect more lives doing that. What you're doing is putting everyone in danger. We thought you were supposed to be a protector. They're really kind of digging into her in a way that I don't appreciate, but at the same time, can't be surprised because the characterization that we got from the Ace Ops really does point them in this direction and this train of thought. But when Harriet makes some rather rude comments towards Rwby about Crow being locked up, Penny takes immediate offense to that and starts to step forward to challenge them, only for it to have been a trap to goad them into separating from Penny. But Penny does her best to use her Winter Maiden powers to fight off the Ace operatives. But unfortunately, it's 4-on-1, so despite her skill, they're still fairly well versed in combat, so it's not the easiest thing. And with, Team Ruby's group trying their best to get to Penny, they find that they're having real struggle getting through. So Nora, trying to take charge of her life as she was told, decides to use the energy from the barrier to juice herself up basically and smash the door in something fierce. Unfortunately, this does a great amount of damage to Nora. Like this scars her body all over, completely downs her barrier. She is down for the count on this one. It's an unfortunate situation, and I doubt Ren's gonna be happy. And as Ironwood starts to try to call in more reinforcements for the Ace Ops, Arthur has an idea that he has Ironwood relay to the Ace operatives, which, they get, but they're a little shaky about. And it involves just stealing one of Penny's daggers, which usually are attached to her via string, so that she can command them better. But they manage to take one of those and they beat feet. And while everybody else finds that a little odd, Nora is the most important part, getting her to safety. So they run over to where May is, who is cloaking a vehicle so that they can escape, and Penny says her goodbyes, knowing that she has to head out to Amity with the launch codes in order to get it out and about and get the word out to the rest of Remnant. However, Arthur Watts has one of Penny's daggers, which, as we know, is used to. It's actually clever, honestly, because there's a remote connection between the daggers and Penny. That's why she's able to command them so proficiently. And with that, there's of course, Arthur can somehow find a back door through one of the daggers to get to Penny. It's unfortunate, but it's genius at the same time. It's a well thought out plan for the most part. But that ends the episode, a fairly short one. Well, light on any real depth, all things considered, but that's because we didn't have dual storylines going. At most, the only B plot was just the situation going on between Arthur and Ironwood, and even that was just kind of like, eh, nothing really deeply going on there. But the infiltration was fun, and just Ironwood just continues to be more and more soulless to a certain degree with what he's doing and the tactics he has the Ace Ops employ. It's shameful, all things considered. But military tactics and all that, but Rwby and the scope of her semblance, like, I wonder how much she could actually carry, honestly, with her semblance. I think it would have to at least just be human size, of a normal standard size, but she breaks them down on the molecular level, so who knows? Like, Ruby's ability is kind of hacks, but it's also kind of awesome, especially now that she's gained so much control over it. It's really awesome how her power works, and I love to see it developed in such an interesting way. But oh boy, the situation going on with Nora, that's gonna be a rough one. I'm not prepared for what comes next because you know Ren's gonna be absolutely devastated over all of this, and who knows how far this will be taken. It was a dangerous idea, but it was a very Nora idea. I feel like even if it wasn't for all of her emotional turmoil, this felt like a very Nora move to do. So we'll just have to wait and see the ramifications from all this. What's going to happen to Nora? What's going to happen to Penny? It feels obvious she's going to be hacked into and just literally, just like Pinocchio, be made a puppet of ironwood. And I feel like that's ultimately just going to play right into Salem's hands. Like, they've literally given Arthur Watts access to Penny. I can't see how Ironwood wouldn't think that that's going to backfire on him to some degree. This is just a recipe for disaster, and James Ironwood has played right into it. As simple as that. But Nora, I hope there's not permanent damage from this. I'd be destroyed if there was. But we'll just have to wait and see. Give me your thoughts and theories in the comment section below. How do you think Penny will ultimately end up being used? And will it ultimately be Ironwood who is used by Arthur in the end? I thought he was going to be out of play, but oh no, no, no. He's still got some tricks up his sleeve, courtesy of Mr. Ironwood. Way to go, James. Your heartless actions show that you also don't have a brain as well. I shouldn't be too hard on him, but I will. So, suck it, James. But the situation with that and Nora, oh, poor Nora. I hope she manages to make it through and just get through to Ren on some level. It sucks when you see the most peppy character in your series going through emotional turmoil. It's an unfortunate situation, but tell me your thoughts and theories in the comments section below. If you liked this video, leave me a like. If you didn't, feel free to leave me a dislike. Subscribe and hit the bell icon. That way you don't miss out on the next Rwby Volume 8 episode review. Until then, I've been Duuz-Diz-Din, and I will see you later. Bye-bye.